Hello, everybody. Welcome to a third cast assessment. I do want to apologize. I should be doing 4 at this point, most likely. Sorry, I couldn't do a 5th. This has been very difficult. I've been very busy. School starting on Wednesday, where I will be taking a break from hosting and really 10 gauge in general. So yeah, it's been very difficult tackling everything, hanging out with people for your last day or whatever, before you go to school and all this stuff. So it's, I do apologize if I haven't been the most active for this game, but I do want to say this has been a fantastic season, probably my favorite for sure. But I'm going to move on to talking about everybody in the game. I believe we stopped at Final 13, I would assume. I would hope. I'm not really sure, to be honest. But I would start at 13 and run it down, talk about every single person, and you guys know the drill. First player was Brendan. Brendan, I do feel bad for Brendan. He was kind of pushing. He was a target basically the whole pre-merge. Really used the snooze fest to his best advantage and to the best of his abilities, better than everybody else. And he got multiple, I think he had 4 tickets in total. Was the only person that actually got a ticket from a person that was about to go home, which I thought was pretty smart and pretty unique. I did love seeing him play. I don't think he's the best social player or just the best player in general, but I feel like he did work very hard, and I do appreciate him coming back after about 5 years. So Mr. Finland went home, but love and support Brendan. Scott, it was irritating to see Scott play the same exact fucking game. He did tell me that he wanted to switch it up, but I get it. When you're, it's force of bad habits or whatnot, being very forceful and very. I feel like his issue for that vote was that he was pushing too many people. He was switching his mind too many times. You need to stick to one person if you're on the bottom. You always need to do that, and you just gotta pick right sometimes. It is a matter of luck. So he did screw up heavily in that, but I do think Scott played an okay game. He was at many tribals, so he survived a good amount. And 12th place, I mean, it's not horrible. 8th and 12th, that's his final placements. Will we see Scott in the future? I'm not sure. That's way down the line, but I did enjoy seeing Scott play again. Moving on to Tony, and this vote was insane. This is probably one of the best votes I've ever seen in the whole series for sure. Young got idled from Ethan, and he was about to go home, and then the other side decided to split their votes 2-2 for silly reasons. Didn't make any sense to me why you'd vote out 3 of the 5 people that you're against if you want to maybe possibly pull people in, or in the case of what happened right now, like Drew Rocks or whatever. Silly, but it was pretty funny. Tony also was stolen. He lost his vote from Jake, and then Abel used his idol on himself incorrectly. And then we went to a revote, and it was supposed to go to 5-3, but JJ flipped, made it a 4-4 with Tony sadly going home, our first winner. Tony is one of the only, I think he is the only player to have played twice, or at least more than one time, and never be voted out. So good for Tony. I love Tony. I know he played, this is not his cup of tea, I guess. He hasn't been playing group games for a while, but I do appreciate him returning. And I hope to see him in the future, obviously. I don't know if he'll play again. I feel like this was kind of like a one-time thing for him, maybe, but hopefully he changes his mind. But I'll say it again. You probably won't see a game, a DanZ Survivor for a while, probably at least 6 months, I would assume. But we'll see what happens. Maybe that will change. But moving on, we have Young. At this point, kind of the numbers were decided. They also had a steal a vote, the Haiti 5. So Young's group, they were kind of fucked. I thought it was pretty silly that there was a lot of fuck-ups in this vote. Basically, Young exposed that he had to steal a vote by accident, and then they all voted differently, which was just so stupid. Like, they were trying to seem like it was like they're not on like the same side and stuff. Like, I don't like, it's actions speak louder than actually. How do I explain this? No, but like, you know what? Scratch that. But you guys know what I'm talking about. Like, beforehand, like, you guys have been together this whole time, and then you guys vote separately and vote every single person from the other side. It just didn't make sense to me. But did like Young, did appreciate him. Honestly, he played, although he got 10th place instead of 1st from his last season, did play a much better game, and I was excited to see him kind of progress in his overall gameplay. Moving on to Jake. Jake, it was a very simple vote due to the fact they had the auction with 2 vote blocks and a vote. They could have got JJ in this case, and they would have to use 2 vote blocks, but couldn't manage to do that. Jake had to go home, and now the game's kind of flipped, to be honest. It flipped due to the auction, which is pretty interesting. It's pretty funny to see. It's kind of like Karma's a bitch. Jake, not specifically Jake, but his alliance, they went through the whole game at the bottom, but like they managed to survive due to powers, and this is kind of, karma happening to them, basically. I did love Jake, though. I did have a long, extensive conversation with him after his vote off for his exit interview. Do love him, do want to see him in the future for sure. So, yeah, I love his support. And I'm happy he played. Although I believe he got 2nd and then 9th. I think he played a very similar game, so I don't see much progression, but I don't think he needs much progression. And now we're going to the top 8. So we got Gara first. Gara, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I have to read confessionals. I haven't read them for like the past 2 days. I have customers. Okay. Gara, I need to read the confessionals, but like, it seems like he's still gung-ho about the Haiti, which is quite irritating, Gara. Like, I don't know. It's good to be loyal or whatnot, but like, when I'm bringing someone back for like an all-stars, like, I want some excitement. But when it seems like he's just like sticking to this one specific group, kind of being mindless, not trying to, reach out to other people, it is quite irritating to see. Do I think he could go far? I think he could go far, but I feel like his loyalty will always be a burden on him. And unless I haven't read confessionals of him saying like, I'm going to cut all these people, then that's just my opinion. Moving on to Nikki. Nikki, it's very interesting. I want to see what Nikki does, but I think he's the target for this vote. Not certain, but I'm pretty sure. I think he's a very good player, though. He's very social, always is playing under the radar. But I think his issue here was his relationship with Ethan, for sure. Although Ethan did kind of burn him, it was very clear that he would do that. And I think it was bad for Nikki to cut off that tie, because I feel like that's why he's specifically in trouble. And he could have probably made it super far if he just kind of says, it's all good, moving on from here, with Ethan. And I think that's why he's going to go home. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure just yet. He might change, but I've got like 2 or 3 votes, and that's what it's seeming like. Moving on to Ryan. Ryan is playing an okay game. I'd say like an average game. I feel like it was very good on Montenegro. Due to the fact that a lot of people just weren't as good. The gameplay level wasn't as peak as what's going on now. So Ryan is kind of like middle table at this point, kind of playing an average game, pretty straightforward. Do I think he could go far? Yeah, he could go far, but I don't know if he could win at the end of the day. I don't think he has played a amazing social game, just from what I'm looking at, and I don't know if people are going to respect a less eccentric character winning at the end for this season. But I always do love Ryan. So Jeremy's a crackhead. I think everybody knows this, but Jeremy, I don't think he's going to make it to the end. sadly, just how this game's going. But it's possible. It's possible for sure. I do expect after this vote, if Nikki does go home, they would use a vote block for sure this vote, so they would only have the 50-50. And I think if it's a 7-person tribe, I think JJ would flip. I think JJ's flip-flopping back and forth for sure. So, yeah, that's what I'm seeing right now. So, yeah. That's my thought. So then Jeremy would be able to survive, but at this point, I don't think he has too much power in this game. Honestly, I'd be surprised if he gets to the end. But if he does, I'll respect it. But I think last season he was for sure not going to win, but this season he does have a chance if he makes it to the end. Moving on to Ethan. Ethan is pretty crazy how he's gotten this far, and he's in a very, very good position. Good for him. He has a lot of ties for sure, but playing a good social game, kind of playing a very similar game, but it is kind of much harder for him to play here. What was I going to say? Yeah, it's much harder for him, especially in Montenegro. He kind of ran the whole game, really. Like, it was very obvious that he was going to win. Here, I'm not sure. I think he would get, if what I'm saying is true, I think at 7 he would get cut as well. That would make the most sense. So, we'll see what happens with Ethan, but I always do love him, and he's super excited to talk to me on his exit interview, and I can't wait to talk to him soon. Moving on to Abel. Abel I'm kind of surprised with. I'm surprised that he was so close with fucking, what's his face? With Jake, because last season they were completely against each other, and Abel's kind of fallen into the background. Sorry, Abel, but it is kind of like disappointing to see him be super gung-ho about this Haiti, because the one reason why I brought him was to be against the Haiti people. And I was like, okay, sick. Like, I can't wait for him to like try and go after these people and, get some revenge, but Abel just wasn't down, which is pretty funny. But do I think Abel can go far? I think he can. Do I think he could win? Don't think so, really. But we'll see what happens. I feel like just because I believe he's playing also in Ethan's game. I could check that. But I'm pretty sure he's playing in Ethan's game, so he's not playing as hard, which I understand. But I still want to see him play well. I don't think he's playing the best, but good for him for making it this far. And I do think he can make it far for sure. Moving on to JJ. I understand where JJ is coming from. I do think he made a huge mistake at Final 11 and got very, very lucky with how the auction turned out. But if that wasn't the case, JJ would be fucked. I think JJ would sincerely be fucked. So I think he made that move at 11, and then at 10 he was left out of the vote. So it just goes to show that he fucked up. But luckily he kind of he was able to kind of pull it back a bit by voting out Jake after. So I think he is kind of scrambling at this point. I think he's that guy in the middle, flip-flopping back and forth to make it to the end. I do think JJ is going to make it to the end. Do I think he's going to win? Do not think so. I played a very, very similar game to JJ in many other games. People don't respect it, for sure. So I do think he's playing in the best of his abilities with the cast that he has, with the people, with all the connections and whatnot. But I do think it's he's not playing the most respectable game. But personally, I do like his game, and I do think he's pretty smart. But he doesn't really send too many confessionals. I think he knows this. But I'm understanding where he's coming from at this point. But last but not least, Curly. Curly is pretty funny. Like, I kind of didn't like Curly for a bit, which is crazy because I think he was the heroes of the season, like in Montenegro, and I was like, I hate this person, like villain of the season now. But I think Curly's doing just fine. Don't think he's as standout as in Montenegro. I think a lot of these people are just not as standout because of the quality of the season. But I do like Curly. Do I think he can win? Very debatable. Very, very debatable. It's going to have to depend on what he does or like who he goes with at the end. But yeah. Honestly, at this point, there is no clear winner for sure. I don't know who's going to win. Don't know who's going to make it to the end. And I hope it's going to be going back and forth constantly. And hopefully this becomes one of the best seasons that I've ever seen, and it could be a good send-off. But with that being said, thank you for watching and have a nice day.